Becoming really good at something isn't about luck or doing it once in a while. Instead, it's about something they call deliberate practice. This means practicing with a clear focus and intention to improve a skill. Researchers observed that successful people shared a common trait. They were focused on developing just one skill at a time. They didn't try to be good at everything. Instead, they carefully chose one skill that would benefit them the most at that particular stage of their career. For example, if someone worked in a big company, they would look at what the top performers were doing exceptionally well. Then they would pick one skill, like a sniper aiming for a target, and make it their goal to master it. They would create a plan and work on that skill every single day until they became really good at it. This deliberate and focused approach helped them advance in their careers. Now, how would they know if they became really good at the skill they were focusing on? Well, it's when others start to notice and tell them how good they are at it. They might hear things like, "Wow, you're amazing at negotiating," or "You're really good at getting appointments," or "You're so good at closing sales." These compliments show that they've mastered that skill. Once they reach this point, they can confidently say, "Yes, I've got this skill down." Then they start thinking about what skill will be the most helpful for them to work on next. They do this every year, always focusing on improving one skill at a time. Lots of people find themselves in this position. Roughly 1.5% of the population begins their journey into the working world. It's like a huge marathon where everyone lines up at the starting line. Then, when the signal is given, like the sound of a gun going, bang, everyone starts running. Just like in a marathon, some people sprint ahead quickly. In this race, which is really about earning money, most people end up somewhere in the middle. But unfortunately, there are also some who lag far behind, unable to keep up with the pace. So it's kind of like a big race where some zoom ahead, some stick to the middle, and some sadly fall behind. There was a really long study that lasted for 25 years, and it was completed recently. I believe it's one of the best studies ever done about how people become successful. They were curious about something: how come some people earn such big paychecks? These people are making nearly $1 million each month just by going to work. And if they ever lost their job, another company would quickly hire them and pay them a massive $10 million every year. That's a huge amount of money. So the researchers wanted to know, how does this happen? Wanted to figure out why some people are so successful in life. They thought maybe these successful people were just super smart, or had some special talents or qualities that helped them achieve so much. So they decided to dig into the records from when these successful people were in school and their first couple of jobs. They wanted to see if there was anything special about them that stood out. And guess what the researchers discovered? These successful people were actually just like everyone else when they first started out. They weren't any smarter or more talented than the average person. Even at the beginning of their careers, they were just average people. Nothing extraordinary about them. But then something interesting happened. They all began using one particular strategy. And let me tell you, this strategy has the power to transform your life and your career forever. And what's really surprising is that it's so straightforward, you might find it hard to believe. When these individuals started their first job, they had a smart approach. They would go straight to their boss and have a chat. They'd say something like, "Hey boss, I really want to do well here and make a meaningful impact. What's one skill I could work on that would really help me succeed and contribute more effectively to the company?" This simple question opened up a world of opportunities for them. When they asked their boss for advice, some managers would often suggest specific skills that could make them much more valuable in their job. These skills could be things like negotiation, teamwork, sales, or understanding financial statements. The boss would explain that being really good at one of these skills could set them apart from others. So they would listen carefully and take note of the skill the boss recommended. They treated it like a goal, just like how you plan out your lessons for school subjects. For instance, if someone wanted to become a doctor or an engineer, they do know the courses they needed to take to get there. Similarly, they'd create a plan for developing this skill. They figure out which books were the best to read and which audio programs the most helpful. Then they do make sure to include these resources in their plan for improvement. Another important thing they did was ask about courses and seminars. that could help them improve the skill they were focusing on. They were eager to learn and grow, so they wanted to know what educational opportunities were available to them. And lastly, they were curious about what actions they could take every day to get better at this skill. They understood the importance of consistent practice and wanted to know how they could incorporate it into their daily routine, so they would show up to work every day with a clear focus on developing this one skill, much like a skilled sniper aiming for a target, rather than someone spraying bullets randomly like a machine gunner. They knew it might take some time, maybe a month, 3 months, or even a year, but they were committed to working on that skill every single day until they mastered it. And here's the magic number: 2 hours per day, 5 days per week. That's a total of 10 hours. They found that spending 2 hours each day, focused on studying and practicing a single skill for 5 days a week, was the key to success. So they realized that dedicating this amount of time every day to personal study and improvement was crucial. It might seem simple, but this consistent effort really made a difference in their progress and success. In today's world, having both knowledge and skills is super important if you want to succeed. These things help you earn money. Your knowledge and your ability to use that knowledge effectively to achieve something that customers are willing to pay for is really important. Unfortunately, some people who lose their jobs don't realize that they haven't kept their knowledge and skills up to date enough to justify the amount of money they were earning. Things are changing so fast these days. And if you're not constantly learning and improving, you can quickly become outdated. This means that a job you have today might not be needed anymore very soon. Like in a week, a month, or a year. Sometimes, new technology can make a whole type of work not necessary in just a couple of years. So it's important to keep thinking about what you might do for work next. Ask yourself often, what do you think your next job could be? What will my next job be? You probably already know that most people who start working today will switch jobs about 14 times and might even change their entire career up to 6 times. They could end up working in as many as 6 different fields throughout their life. So what do you think your next job or career might be? Now here's something important. What can you do right now to improve your skills and abilities so you can make enough money and live the way you want? To unlock your next career opportunity, focus on being really good at what you do. Aim to be the best in your current job, then strive to be the best in your entire field. Once you reach the top, work hard to stay there and make your life even better. What do you need to do for this? What kind of person do you need to become? Here's a fantastic question to consider. If you could master one skill or a group of skills really well, which would make the biggest positive difference in your future? Your task is to figure that out. You might need to talk to your boss or do some research to find the answer. Once you know, do everything you can to learn and improve those skills. It's all about identifying what will make the biggest positive impact on your life and focusing on mastering that. You should constantly ask yourself, where do you see your future in your career? Where do you think your career is headed? And what about your industry? Where is it heading? What about your specific job or the company you work for? Where are they headed? By figuring out where your future lies and anticipating it, you can prepare yourself to adapt and excel. If you don't learn how to handle change well, you'll find yourself getting swept away by it. Instead of taking control of what's happening, you'll feel like you're at the mercy of whatever comes your way. It's like being tossed around by the waves of life. But if you become really good at dealing with change, you can navigate through life's ups and downs with much more ease and confidence. In everything we've discussed about making more money, advancing in your job quickly, and reaching your full potential, there's one crucial thing. Never stop learning. I can't stress enough how important this is. I've met people from all around the world who come to America with nothing. And because they keep learning, they achieve amazing things and build wonderful lives for themselves. So take control of your life. Think of yourself as the CEO of your own company. Think of yourself as a leader who sets the example. Be the benchmark in your world and be the role model for your children. If you want your kids to have a great life, you need to lead by example and keep learning yourself. See yourself as someone others look up to, just like all successful leaders do. So there's 168 hours in a week, no matter where you are. Now, what we're suggesting here is that if you really want to become one of the best in your field, making loads of money and having a super successful life, dedicate 10 hours of that week to improving yourself. That's it. And guess what? This strategy is what all the top achievers follow. I've had the chance to work with CEOs of some of the largest companies globally. And you know what? They spend about 2 to 3 hours every week reading and getting better at what they do. Do you know who the third richest man in the world is? His name is Warren Buffett. Back when Warren was just 14 and 15 years old, he worked as a newspaper delivery boy. Every morning at 5 o'clock, when it was still dark outside and everyone else was asleep, Warren would be out delivering newspapers. He kept this up for over 2 years. He delivered a massive 200,000 newspapers during that time, earning just 1 cent for each one. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Instead of spending all that hard-earned money, Warren saved it up. Eventually, he had $2,000 saved, and guess what? That $2,000 became his very first investment. But Warren didn't just throw his money into anything randomly. No, he carefully studied his options and made a smart investment choice. And you know what happened? That investment paid off. So he invested even more money, and guess what? It kept growing. Fast forward to last year, and Warren Buffett's total investments were worth a staggering $350 billion. That's right, he's the brains behind one of the biggest companies in the world, ranking as the 3rd or 4th largest single company in the United States. And get this, his profits last year alone amounted to a massive $25 billion. Can you believe how far he's come from delivering newspapers in the early mornings? It just goes to show the power of smart investments and hard work. You know, $25 billion is a huge amount of money. It's a lot for just one person to grow a company that makes $25 billion in profits. And here's something interesting about Warren Buffett. He follows a pretty consistent routine almost every day. About 80% of his time is dedicated to learning about subjects related to his business. Only about 20% of his time is spent in meetings, on phone calls, or doing anything else. Why does he spend so much time learning? Well, it's because he believes that by constantly learning new things, he can make better decisions and ultimately achieve better results. So even though he's already super successful, he never stops trying to improve himself and his understanding of his business. It's a pretty smart approach, don't you think? I often ask adults a question. How much time do you spend each week learning new things to improve how productive and valuable you are? Learning new things can help you do better in your work and life. People who are often well paid view their earning potential as if it were a ladder. Picture a ladder with steps. Each step represents a skill. When you acquire a new skill, you boost your ability to earn more money. Furthermore, as you accumulate more skills, your earning potential steadily rises. Each new skill adds to your value, making you increasingly valuable to others. Consequently, people are willing to pay you higher sums for the outcomes you can deliver. Now, if at any given time you decide to stop climbing the ladder of success, you might stay at the same level for a while, like many people do, about 80% of them. But then over time, you'll start to go down because the things you're good at are getting less useful really quickly. Nowadays, skills become outdated faster than ever before. So if you're not always trying to get better, it's like you're going backwards instead of forwards on the success ladder. And when people wonder why they're not making more money, it's often because they're not getting better at what they do. They're not learning new things or trying to improve themselves to become more successful. Boosting how much money you can make is what the richest people in the world do. They make it a routine to spend at least 10 hours each week, learning a new skill that can benefit them the most. It's like they keep climbing a ladder of success and learning becomes a natural part of their life. Just like how some people might spend time watching TV or playing sports, for them, learning is always there. They have a special ability to focus completely on one thing and keep at it until they finish. Discipline yourself. Training yourself to stay focused without getting distracted by emails, phone calls, or noises is crucial. It means making a commitment to not let anything else grab your attention while you're working on something important. It's like having a laser-like focus on one thing and not letting anything else interfere with that task. Napoleon Hill, after writing his famous book, Think and Grow Rich, later wrote another book titled The Master Key to Riches. This book is all about motivating and guiding people with ideas and principles for success. after you read through all 260 pages. You finally reach the conclusion, where he reveals the big secret, the master key to becoming wealthy. In the first paragraph, he hints at what you're about to discover. Throughout the book, he shares motivational ideas and principles to help you achieve success. And right at the end, on the very last page of the last chapter, he reveals the ultimate answer. Now you know, the master key to riches is self-discipline. So, according to Hill, having self-discipline is the key to unlocking wealth and success. Through our observations, we've noticed something important. The people who achieve the most success have also realized that self-discipline is incredibly crucial. They believe that having self-discipline is like having a magic key that opens the door to success. It's something they've learned through their own experiences and the experiences of others around them. So, mastering self-discipline is the ultimate secret to reaching your goals and finding success in life. Whatever you did to get where you are now won't be enough to keep you there. To keep moving forward, you've got to keep learning new things. This process doesn't stop after a certain age or milestone. It's a lifelong journey. That's because the world around us is always changing super fast now. With new information, technology, competition, and government rules popping up all the time. So, if you want to keep up and stay successful, you've got to keep changing and learning. They say that everything seems tough before it gets easier. Especially in the beginning, things can feel really hard. But as you keep going, it starts to feel easier and more natural. At first, you have to push yourself to stay disciplined. But as time goes on, it gets easier and easier. And you even start to feel happy about it. And here's the really amazing part. When you push yourself to start and finish a task, or even just a part of it, you feel like a champion, like an athlete winning a race. So, what do they call the athlete who crosses the finish line first? That's right, they call them the winner. So when you push yourself and accomplish something, you're winning too. I've spent countless hours studying this topic, literally hundreds and even thousands of hours. What I've learned is fascinating. When you succeed, when you come out on top, your body releases chemicals called endorphins and dopamine. Endorphins are like nature's own happiness boosters, making you feel good, while dopamine gives you a burst of energy from the positive experience. So when you finish a task, your body gives you a little dose of these feel-good chemicals, and you feel happy. That's why psychologists often call them nature's happy drug. So, if you want to feel happier, all you have to do is start and finish a task. It's like a little shot of happiness straight to your brain. Sometimes in my seminars, I like to ask a question. What are you learning today? And what new skills they're developing. It's a way to get people thinking about what they're working on. During breaks, I encourage people to chat with each other and share what they're learning about. Maybe someone's focusing on strategy, while another person is diving into sales techniques. The point is, everyone should be actively working on developing new skills, because that's how you grow and succeed. Well, this brings us to what I call the fundamentals. We might not have the power to change the whole world, but we can always rely on some key principles or values. I like to think of these as the basics. In closing, let me tell you a story about Vince Lombardi, the coach of the Green Bay Packers. When he took charge, people asked him if he was going to change up the team's strategies, like the running plays or blocking techniques. But you know what Lombardi said? He said, nope, we're not changing a thing. Instead, we're going to focus on being the absolute best at the basics. Running, blocking, passing, kicking, the fundamental skills of football. We're going to master the basics. He believed that. Being exceptional at the fundamentals was the key to success. So, just like Lombardi, our goal should be to excel at the basics, to really nail down those foundational skills